embodied soul. Tamasa, by the darkness. Param, to the other side. Richati, cross. One should try to keep himself satisfied in any condition of life, whether distress or happiness, which is offered by the Supreme Will. A person who endures in this way is able to cross over the darkness of nescience very easily. Purport. Material existence consists of pious and impious fruitive activities. As long as one is engaged in any kind of activity other than devotional service, it will result in happiness and distress of this material world. When we enjoy life in so-called material happiness, it is to be understood that we are diminishing the results of actions of our pious activities. And when we are put in suffering, it is to be understood that we are diminishing the results of our impious activities. Have you read? Instead of being attached to the circumstantial happiness and distress resulting from pious and impious activities, if we want to get out of the clutches of this nescience, then whatever position we are put in by the will of the Lord, we should accept. Thus, it is simply surrender. Thus, if we simply surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we shall get out of the clutches of this material existence. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadama Yam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinobandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Taruvyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adigora Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yasya yadaiva vihitam satena sukha dukkha yoho atmanam toshayam dehi tamasam param richati. This beautiful verse comes in the context, this beautiful verse comes in the 4th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and this verse comes in the context of Narada Muni instructing Dhruva Maharaj. And if you were to pick one word from the whole verse, which word would define the whole verse? Toshayan, yes. So the theme of today's class is tushti. Tushti is the Sanskrit word for that satisfaction in the heart. Yes. In the 1st canto, 7th chapter, there is a beautiful verse. Atma Ramash Chamunayo Nirkranta api urukrame kurvanti ahaitu kim bhaktim ittam bhuta guno hari. So Lord Krishna is known as Atma Rama because he takes satisfaction, he is self-satisfied. And the devotee we had a devotee by the name Atmarama. The devotee is also known as Atmarama because he is satisfied by satisfying the self-satisfied. Once again, a devotee is also known as Atmarama because he is satisfied by satisfying the self-satisfied Lord. Tushti, or satisfaction, it is included within the result of performing devotional service. Savai pumsam paro dharma, yato bhakti radokshaj, ahai tukya pratihata, yayatma, suprasidati. Prasidati means satisfied. And suprasidati means very, very satisfied. So the result of devotional service is satisfaction. And not only that the result of performing devotional service is satisfaction, but also on the way of performing devotional service, there should be some satisfaction within the heart. In this fourth canto, by the end of it, Narada Muni, he meets also the Prachetas. And in the culmination of it all, when Narada Muni is instructing the Prachetas, he says a beautiful verse. He says, Dayaya sarva bhuteshu santushtya yena kenava sarvendriyo upashantyacha tushyati ashu janardana. Tushyati, this is 4:31, some verse in the 31st chapter of this canto. Tushyati means satisfied. Ashu janardana, the Lord is satisfied within this context, within this verse, by three things. Daya means charity. Dana is charity, but Daya, very close, actually mercy. Daya, Doyal Nitai, the merciful Nityananda. Mercy, yes. So the Lord says, Narada Muni tells to the Prachetas that Dayaya sarva bhuteshu, being merciful towards all living entities, it is pleasing to the Lord. Santushtya yena kenava, if you yourself are satisfied, it is pleasing to the Lord also. And then, sarvendriyo upashantyacha, sarva indriya upashantyacha, one who is able to pacify, to control his senses. These three things is tushyati ashu janardana. The Lord is very satisfied by these things. So out of three things, one of the things that satisfies the Lord is you being satisfied. So not only that satisfaction is there as a result of devotional service, but satisfaction has to be there also while performing the devotional service. Now you know, books are books, life is life, if I may say. Yes, life also teaches us a lot. Just by going through the phases of life, we learn so much, and we don't learn all the things in the book. But if book remains the book and life remains a life, then there is no connection between the two. And one should be intelligent enough to bring the two together. So what is there in the book, it reconfirms what is happening in the life, and what is happening in our life, it reconfirms what is happening in the book. So let's see how can we relate this topic of satisfaction to our life. On the practical level, when it occurs within us, how does it happen? Why does it happen? When is it not happening? Are you ready? Tushti, satisfaction. Now you see, in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, from the verses 8 till 12, the 12th chapter is called Bhakti Yoga. And from verses 8 till 12, Krishna gives a devotional hierarchy. Mai eva mana adatsva. On the top of the devotional hierarchy, who is at the top of the devotional hierarchy? Who is the most ideal devotee? Who are the most ideal devotees? The satisfied devotee? No. Most rendered, who? Who? The gopis, yes. So the topmost devotees are the gopis. My eva mana adatsva, my buddhim niveshara. They have their minds constantly engaged in thinking of Krishna. And the rest of the hierarchy goes like this. If you cannot be like the gopis, then atachittam samadhatum. If you cannot do that, then follow the rules and regulations of devotional service. There are 6 things within the hierarchy, by the way. The first one are like the gopis, 24-hour Krishna conscious. Engage your mind constantly in thinking of Krishna, constantly. If you cannot do that, then follow the rules and regulations of devotion. If you cannot do that, then work with devotion towards Krishna. If you cannot do that, then work with detachment. Srila Prabhupada says, this is verse 10, Srila Prabhupada says in a purport, something like philanthropy. You work, you don't put yourself in the center of your life, but you put something else as a center of your life. If you cannot work without detachment, then ground yourself, do some meditation. If you cannot ground yourself, if you cannot do meditation, then jnana abhyasa, then start gathering some knowledge. So this is a devotional hierarchy Krishna gives. And the devotee is someone who acts within this devotional hierarchy. And now the problem in the hierarchy. What is the problem? Oh, yes. Thank you. Where is the problem? So you have the hierarchy of devotion. The problem is not aiming too high. Aiming too high is required. Also, being honest within the hierarchy and our place is not a problem. It is required. But the problem is you aim too high without admitting where you are. Oh, that becomes a problem. Yes? Then you burn yourself in life once or twice and then no tushti, no satisfaction. Or other problem can be you admit where you are, but you are not aiming high. That's also a problem. And now you see, if you aim too high and you don't admit where you are within the hierarchy, you are not being honest. And the problem with that is, unfortunately, many times the temple life is conceptualized. Many times temple life is unfortunately conceptualized as aiming too high without admitting where you are. So you have devotees coming, they aim too high, and they aim too high. Aiming too high is required, it is needed. But the problem is aiming too high for too long without admitting where you are. What happens? No satisfaction. Dissatisfaction, yes. Yes. You have the hierarchy, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Krishna says you act within the devotional hierarchy, you are a devotee. But the problem is aiming too high without admitting where you are. After some time, you burn out. And then what happens? Dissatisfaction creeps in, and you just say, I go away. I'll be at least honest to myself. Being honest to yourself is not a problem. It is necessary, but being honest to yourself without aiming high is a problem. And this is the other extreme devotees end up. Devotees then leave the temple. They're being honest to themselves, but they don't aim high anymore. So this is a problem. And now, why being, so for tushti, for satisfaction, one of the requirement is what? Honesty. You have to be honest. You have to be honest. And what is the second requirement? What is the requirement for satisfaction? To be honest, yes. And what is the second requirement for satisfaction? You have to aim high in your life. If you don't, the problem is not aiming too high and then you miss it. The problem is you aim too low and then you hit it. Yes. So these two things are required. You have to aim high in your life and you have to be honest to yourself. And no problem, here's the devotional hierarchy. Act within the hierarchy and you're a devotee. And why is it important? From where does this honesty comes from? Why is there need for this honesty? Not dishonesty, but for honesty. Where does it come from? Why do you have to be honest to yourself? A simple question. Yes? Honesty comes from truthfulness. Why do we need honesty in devotional life? Because it is based on conviction and not on fanaticism. Very good point. Somebody who aims too high without admitting where he is, we call that devotee, oh, fanatic. And at the same time, what is appropriate for one devotee might be inappropriate for the other devotee. And what is inappropriate for the other devotee might be appropriate for the other one. So you can't pretend to be someone else. You can't, I mean, you can, but you won't sustain for very long. You won't sustain for very long. And why is this honesty so important? Why is something right for one person and wrong for the other one? Why everybody has his place within the devotional hierarchy? Why? Because we have needs in our life. There are things we need in our lives. Like, what is Krishna saying? 3rd chapter, verse 14, Bhagavad Gita. 3:14. Annad bhavanti bhutani. All the bhutani, all the living entities need what? Need something to eat. If you don't get to eat, you will get miserable. And now, when it comes to food, also, you have Sanatana Goswami. He is not on the non-spicy diet, but he's on a non-salty diet. He's eating only a chapati. You give chapati, I know devotees who can eat khichdi for breakfast, lunch and dinner. They will be satisfied and they will be doing their service. You take that khichdi and you impose it upon someone else, he will be the most miserable person. Cannot live like that. Cannot live like that. A person needs some prasadam, and if it is only chapati, it is too dry. And if you need a reasonable amount of salt in your life to be able to relish what you eat. And if you have too little salt or just chapati, you will flip out. It is proper for one person, it is not proper for the other one. Why? Because our needs differ. And you can be fulfilling your needs within the devotional hierarchy, no problem, but don't step out of it. Don't start eating fish, eggs, meat. If you need more juicy things, then you add also dal to your chapati. You add some sabji to your chapati. If you need, you can add rice, dal, chapati. You can take even pakoras if you need. If chutney, I mean time, place, circumstances, if you are too young, you can take even a big plate and you will be ready for the next meal. The other person, there is one devotee, can drink 1 liter of rabri. Rabri is milk, you boil it, you're boiling it and you take off the fatty part from the top. And there is some sugar in it. So at the end it is like something like condensed milk. He can drink 1 liter of it. He drinks it, and for the next meal, he drinks it for breakfast, and for the next meal at 2 o'clock, he will be ready to eat. And there are devotees who take 3 spoons of rabri, and they cannot eat, they have to fast till next day. Just cannot eat. So we differ in our needs. So there are things you need in your life. There are things you need in your life. And I tell you something. Annad bhavanti bhutani, all living entities need, for example, anna, food grains. Food grains are produced by rain? Yes, yes. It is raining, and rains are produced by By performance of sacrifice. And where does sacrifice come from? Yes. Yes. And this is a huge point. This is a huge point. Krishna stretches the concept. He gives the cycle of sacrifice. He said that from Sahayagya Prajasrištva Puro Vacha Prajapatihi. So the Prajapati, at the beginning of creation, he said, may you all be happy by performance of sacrifice. And then Krishna stretches the concept of sacrifice. It is not only offering ghee into the fire, but sacrifice comes from performing prescribed duties. So because you are a good person, because you study well, and because you do it dutifully, because of it, the demigods are satisfied, and there is cooperation between men and demigods. Because you work very dutifully on the field, in the garden, the demigods are satisfied by it, and the rain will come. And whoever you are, you do your things dutifully, you do your things responsibly, and the demigods will be happy. And there is some cooperation between the two. And prescribed duties are coming from where? From the Vedas, yes. And Vedas are coming from Krishna, personally, yes. And how do you connect the food with Krishna? How do you complete the cycle? We started from food, we have the rains, we have the demigods and sacrifice, we have responsibility and working dutifully, we have the Vedas, we have the Supreme Lord. How do you connect the two? How? How do you complete the cycle? Shri Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Yes. His Grace Akila Prabhu, he just completed the cycle. He took that anna, he took that necessity that we all need, and he offered it to Krishna. Yes? And now you take anything else that you need in your life, you act it out responsibly, and you offer that very same need to Krishna. This is a perfect cycle of sacrifice. And you will be happy. And I tell you something, if the topic came up, if we were taking lunch and the topic came up, you know, I got married very recently, just about a month and a half ago. Yes. And I tell you something, two. Okay. Something like 2 months ago. And I tell you something. If you are a male, and if you have a need to have someone in your life to feel comfortable to practice spirituality, to be able to practice, to be able to act within the devotional hierarchy, and if you have someone with whom you are really happy, you won't even look at other people. You won't even look at other women. You won't look into the websites, you won't look into pornography. You will stay away from things that are outside of the devotional hierarchy. And what is the price you pay? Prescribed duties. Yes, yes. And since we have brahmacharis in this class, I have to crack a brahmachari joke. I heard it from a very senior brahmachari. His Holiness. Once, it is one devotee from Radha Gopinath temple, from Mumbai, from India, and because of his speech, he landed in England. And on the boarding pass, he came in saffron, just like Prabhuji is dressed, and on the entrance into the country, there was an old Indian guy. And he said, what is your name? Okay, what is the purpose of your visit? Your boarding, your ID. And then he checks everything in, and then the Indian gentleman, he asks, may I ask you a personal question? And the brahmachari said, yes, of course. He's like, aren't you missing something in your life? Aren't you missing? No. He first asked, are you married? And the brahmachari goes like, just look at me, you know the culture. If you wear a saffron, you are not married. He said, of course not. And he was like, all right, I was just cross-checking. And then, may I ask you another question? Aren't you missing something in your life? And now the old man, he thought he caught him by the wrong foot. And the brahmachari was so honest, he said, of course I do. Of course I do. And the old guy goes, what? He said, problems. 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 Yes. And then he boarded, he stamped, and he entered the country. And then the brahmachari turned around and he said that nobody is spared in this material world. If you're a sannyasi, vanaprastha, grihastha or brahmachari, everybody has his sets of problems. And each and every, whatever role you assume within the devotional hierarchy, each and every of them have a responsibility, have a weight that you bear. And as Prabhu said, the price you pay for having what you need is what? More responsibilities. It is responsibility. So satisfaction comes when you pick up your responsibility. First, satisfaction happens when you're honest to yourself. Satisfaction happens when you aim high within the devotional hierarchy. Satisfaction happens when you pick up the responsibility in your life. You make yourself worthy of something. You discipline yourself. You take some time to you see, if you are meant to be at one position within the devotional hierarchy, if let's say, I and few of you also know one pujari. If there is a new devotee who comes, and if he is by nature a pujari, you put him to clean toilets. While he is cleaning the toilet, he would imagine the toilet seat to be the deity, and he would be bathing it with the soap and with the water. He's just by nature, he's a pujari. And the thing is, if you are like that, and if you remain cleaning toilets your whole life, you won't be satisfied because you are born to do something more. So you have to be honest to yourself. And also, if, let's say, you don't know to cut vegetables, but you want to be praised for cooking such a nice feast. And somehow or other you become a cook without knowing to cut vegetables. Well, that's difficult, but let's say you become a cook without knowing to roll chapatis, or I don't know, something down those lines. If you assume a position that is above you, that isn't you, you will suffer again once that kitchen helper will not come. And then you have to roll chapatis on your own. And then what happens? You mess up everything, devotees are not happy, the offering is late, Krishna is not happy, Pujari is not happy, you are not happy, unsatisfaction creeps in. So being honest means you assume enough space within the devotional hierarchy and you be useful to others. And then others will be pleased with you. So when you pick up the responsibility, when you have certain needs within the hierarchy, you be honest to yourself, you admit it, you take it, and you pick up the responsibility with it. And then you will grow. Maybe one more thing regarding satisfaction. Why is it important to have what you need? It is important to have what you need because savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshaje ahaitu ki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. If you have what you need, to the extent you can go with the same intensity throughout the years in devotional service, to the extent you are selfless in doing consistently within that devotional hierarchy, you assume your position, and to the extent you can be selfless in doing so, to that extent you will be satisfied. So ahai-tuki, hetu means cause. Ahai-tuki means without a cause, meaning selflessly. You do ahai-tuki, and apratihata means uninterrupted. So if you have what you need, you can go on forever within devotional hierarchy, and you can advance actually. And to the extent you are consistent in what you are doing, and to the extent you can do it selflessly, to that extent you are happy. Ahaituki, apratihata, yayatma, atma, suprasidati. Prasidati is happy, suprasidati is very satisfied. And this is also very interesting. If you see some devotees doing some service consistently throughout the years, it means you can't do it artificially. You cannot run it you can do it for 5, 10 years or even more. But at one point, if you see somebody doing something for a long time and doing one and the same thing uninterruptedly, it means he has been honest to himself, at least to a certain extent. He has been responsible, he admitted what he needed, he picked up the responsibilities for those things, and he has what he needs to be satisfied enough. And if you see that somebody is doing something for a long time, it means that there is some satisfaction in it. So now, even within this lifetime, if you are able to do something for very long, if you are able to have a partner that you love throughout whole life, even sadhus will applaud you. You haven't been flirting with others. You haven't been making shortcuts. Even they have respect with it. So you assume your position within the hierarchy, devotional hierarchy, you act within it, everybody will be. It is respectable, no matter what it is. But it requires honesty, and being honest is very difficult. You see in this third canto, in the section of Kardama, of Devahuti and Kardama Muni, when Kardama Muni, he goes offering prayers, he performed devotional austerities for 10,000 years. And Bindu Sarovar is the lake where he was performing the austerities. And when the Lord came, the Lord dropped a tear and it makes that river. Why? Because Kardama Muni was honest. And being honest in Kali Yuga is more difficult than anything else. And for the end, maybe one more thing. It is also interesting that different people within the same task derive different satisfaction. Satisfaction from different things. Let's say a movie is being made. There's a director. The director of the movie is happy when the actor is acting nicely. Yes, he is not on the screen, but he is happy. The actor is happy when he's on the billboard, when he doesn't have a big belly but he's strong and he acts well on, yes, he's happy like that. And the person who is making the makeup, that person, he or she, is happy. She or he might not have a makeup, but that person is happy if the actor is having a makeup. And now you also have the musicians. They're always there, no matter where you go. And the musician is happy if the background music is going on well. If there is no background music, everybody notices a little bit not good. And if the background music is inappropriate, everybody will hear it. So the musician is happy actually if you don't notice the music in the background. Interesting. One task, movie, different people derive satisfaction from different things. And you see, within the Vedic system, within the Varnashram system, Krishna has made the system in such a way that different people derive satisfaction from different things. The Brahmanas derive satisfaction from one thing, the Kshatriyas derive satisfaction from the other. The Vaishya, if you speak with the Vaishya, he will be most happy in his life. He says, I always have money, I have people who are working for me, I pay taxes, but I'm protected by the Kshatriyas. I'm happy. I'm the most happy person. Kshatriya could not do that. He would freak out, or he would freak out everyone around him. He needs people under, he needs to rule. You don't give a Kshatriya people or place to rule, he cannot live. He cannot live. And the Shudra, he is fully satisfied by supporting the other Varnas, isn't it? What is appropriate for the other, what is appropriate for one person is not appropriate for the other one. So we should understand that Krishna has preserved Yasya Yad Daiva Vihita, by the Daiva, by the destiny. We should know Yasya Yad Daiva Vihitam Satena Sukha Dukkhayoho. Krishna has preserved some quota for us for happiness and distress also. Satena Sukha Dukkhayoho. And if you are able to be Atmanam, Toshayan, satisfied with whatever comes on its own accord, if you are happy by your honest, whatever comes on its own by your honest work, you'll be happy by that. Tamasam param jichat. You will be able to cross over this ocean of material existence. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Vitai Gaur Premanandi Haribol. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Thank you for the very, very nice class, Prabhu. I wanted to ask you if you could that are not so satisfied with the service that they are doing, yeah, and they are thinking, okay, maybe if I can find something that is more matching with my nature, then I can be happy. I can be more satisfied from the service that I do. So I wanted to ask, and for example, let's say somebody feels very much his liking of polishing kartals, for example, yeah, or like he's really into making them very nicely, but this is something also a need that is not needed for the temple, yeah, and so he may find always himself a bit unsatisfied because he's doing something that feels not matching with his nature. So in that perspective, or what would you say on it, or like, should his focus be on some other things, or yeah, what would you say?
So, Prabhuji, if I get it right, you were saying that you being in a position to allocate services for others, you come across people who come to you and who have propensities to be doing one things, but that thing is just not needed within the temple environment, and or that it is not urgent enough, or that there are other things that are necessary. And I will say something, and then yes, actually Balaram Prabhu, he has many years of experience in management, and then you add something to it, yes, and you also. You see, for the questions like this, we have people like you. And then you figure it out, you find it out. And this is what you're doing. And just that you put up this question, it means that you're doing just that you're thinking about these things, it means that you're on the good way. Something. It is, you see people with certain propensities and you wish to engage them, but there is no need for that. And on the other side the house is burning and you're like, guys, like we would need hand over there. So somehow on the long run, regarding the dharma, you have something called apat dharma. And apat dharma means emergency situation. So in the emergency case, a pujari can cook. In emergency case, a cook can go for shopping. In emergency case, a shudra can give a class. But like from the perspective of the temple, of the community, the community itself would have most benefits if all the people would be running within within their natures. And temple ecosystem, with the time, the temple ecosystem will increase, and we would be able to a certain extent accommodate all the needs of all the people. At this point, it is really a troublesome question, and the difficult tasks that you get to be dealing with. One should be able to stretch himself as per the need of other. If senior devotees, all right. So when senior devotees ask you to do something, you should be selfless enough and able enough to stretch yourself to help out the situation. In the name of doing so, the authorities cannot become irresponsible, I would so say. That you'll take advantage always of those who are stretching themselves. But that there will be stretches, definitely. People will be doing things that they don't wish to. Something practical. Help me out. Yeah. Actually, also in Radha Gopinath temple, the situation there is different. They put the standards like this. You have to finish your university. You have to have your minimum master's or PhD. After it, you minimum have to work for 2 years in order to get the sense what it means responsibility, what it means when others tell you, now you do this, and you don't question, you do it. They set such a high standard, and just if you pass that, just if you pass the Bhakta course, Bhakta training after it, they will accept you in the ashram. And you get saffron just after 10 years. And within 10 years, there was more than 100 brahmacharis within the ashram. So it was so many devotees that they couldn't do anything else but look for the other place. They found the Govardhan eco-village. It was a jungle, and they made a place where the brahmacharis can go there. So within such environment, actually, when they do these prerna festivals, prerna means inspiration festivals, once in a month, you know how they do it? They say the audience are only males. The audience are only males between 18 and 25. And they have more than 2,000. And then you have also classes only for ladies, between this and this, and it is filled up. It is filled up. And they target different, yes. So in such an environment, you have devotees who are coming to the temple, and what they were being given as a service was to be polishing the temple room. And you should understand these are highly intelligent. You should understand these are highly, highly, highly intelligent people. Like the caliber of their understanding is very, very, very high. And they got a cloth and to be cleaning the mirrors that are clean, but you clean them anyways every day. It is something like in Vaikuntha, the Vaikuntha ladies, they polish even though in spiritual world there is no dust, but they still do it because it is pleasing to Krishna. But then these brahmacharis came and said, they are so capable of doing so many other things, and they asked, why do we always clean what is already clean? Like, give us something, we will do amazing things. And the particular Maharaj, the particular guru that is leading that place, he said, if you go on doing, if you are so highly capable, but you are able to do something menial, you will learn humility. And if you learn humility, in 10 years you will reach way further, very far, as if you would come to the temple and immediately start what you are good at. So from the perspective of the newcomers, from the perspective of subordinates, we should be actually eager to do whatever the seniors give. And if we are able to stretch in those moments and to do what is needed, we will learn humility. And if you learn humility, in 10 years, you will reach way further than you can even imagine. Yeah? And from the perspective of a meant we shouldn't justify someone else's irresponsibility and squeeze the other one who is always ready to offer service. That is, as per my understanding, that is my humble contribution. Do you feel like adding something? Or you? Yeah.
I have two practical thoughts on this. One is that I mean, I've never been an extensive temple commander, but I think, I don't know how long, but for a few weeks actually I was temple commander, and I didn't last in the service, but I learned one thing very strongly is that as sincere as I was myself about doing any simple service, and really making advancement in terms of Trinada Pisunijana and so on, then I was able to tell anyone anything.
Then you were able to?
To tell anything to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Very strongly. And you gave the example of this spiritual master. As far as I understand, that's His Holiness Radhanath Swami. Yes. So, and my own spiritual master here admired him because he said I don't know for how many years, but for, I suppose, a long time, he was a cowherd. He was only taking care of cows. For some period of time at least. I don't know how long, but I suppose in New Vrindavan in the US, he was taking care of cows. That was his service for many years. Or I don't know, I'm sorry, maybe not many years, but for some time, considerable time, he is known for that he did that. So, and now he has this huge, project, reputation, followers, and still he has that kind of humility and that kind of deep realization that he can tell if you do menial service, you will make advancement. And because he did that menial service himself very consistently, he can tell many people that truth, and they will accept it because he has realized. And so that is one aspect, that as much as we are acharya, we can be very demanding. Mm-hmm. Not negatively, but we can demand. And the other thing is that if we have managerial responsibility and resultant, how to say, duty to enforce duties upon others, mm-hmm. then it's easy that it creates a kind of tension. And that tension, I was thinking, is nicely balanced if we cooperate with someone who is a friend to that person, and who can help that person to feel accepted and appreciated, and who can also help that person to, over time and in a cooperative manner, find his way. Find his way, find his nature, and help the person to communicate that and to take appropriate steps towards that. We are coming from Kali Yuga, we are coming from being uncivilized people in a sense. So we cannot expect that I'm a kshatriya, where's my kingdom? We cannot. It's difficult to claim like that. So we have to be patient in a process which will unfold our nature, and I think this would be something that helps.
And as the saying goes, easier said than done. Easier said than done. And especially to highly conscious persons, like, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, when he was told something regarding the mango, he said, I will never ever touch mango in my whole life. Like conscientious people, they feel so, they demand from themselves very much, and you don't need to press those people very much. And especially, I know both of you are really highly, highly conscientious people, and even though you could demand so very much, you still don't do it. And yes, just all glories to the service you do.
After being conscious. His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Tirtha Swami Maharaj once told me, I was asking him something similar to that topic, and he said, anyone can do anything for a certain time. So any of us now can, regardless if we think I have a Brahminical nature, Shudra nature, whatever, any of us can go now and serve prasad or clean the toilets or, for a certain time. According to, that's what he said. Anyone can do anything for a certain time according to their karma. So, but I honestly I really admire the answer you give, because you cannot give a solution to this problem or obstacle or issue that he presented, because it's a reality. We have a lack of manpower and you need somebody to do this, but probably you will not find anybody who will do it for a longer time. So if it's not his nature, it's probably not your nature also, and not his nature and the other nature. So the only way, organizationally speaking, that was possible to maintain the seva is just divide it on all. So, but sometimes the manager or temple commander, how to say this? He takes the position of a psychiatrist and stop being a manager, just trying to talk to the person, hear the person. What do you like to do? What do you want to do? What would make you satisfied? And it's so difficult because the other person doesn't know what would make him satisfied. And he thinks that would make me satisfied, and you give him that seva and he does it for some time and then no, he wants something else. So my answer is that I don't have an answer.
And especially there is no answer because of the time, place and circumstances change always. And we just happen to be living in this certain historical time where things are not yet so developed that you could be accommodating to that extent. Or that we don't live in Satya Yuga, where people would be so honest and knowing themselves to present what they actually want and what would make them.
So I don't know if it was answered already or partly answered because I was in the service right now, but my question would be for oneself or also for other devotees, how to differentiate when devotees should still do the menial service and to attain more humbleness, or if he is already ready, so to say, to move on and do a more responsible service. So where's the threshold, where's the line, how to find out?
Actually, the two are not separated, the two are connected. And it is connected through the responsibility. If the devotee is so responsible, the managers will be happy because I can relieve myself and give him this part of the... when I go to cook and if the kitchen helper knows what he is doing, I'm so happy. I don't even have to tell him anything. He does everything. And it is so easy then to be a cook. And actually managers are looking forward for responsible. So the more responsibility you pick up according to your capacity, you will others will push you forward. They will naturally push you forward. So today we heard the beautiful verse, Yasya yadaiva vihita, satena sukha dukkha yoho, atmanam toshayan dehi, tamasam param jichati. That one can cross over the material nescience if he is satisfied with himself, if he is satisfied with whatever comes on its own accord. Daiva vihita, whatever comes by your destiny, you're happy with that sukha dukkha. And how does that happen? You act within the devotional hierarchy, 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verses 8 till 12. Krishna gives 6 points. The problem is aiming too high without admitting where you are, or admitting where you are without aiming high. So you be honest to yourself. There are needs you have in your life, annad bhavanti bhutani, there are things you need. You act them out responsibly. You assume your position where you are within the hierarchy, and ahaituki apratihata, you will be able to go on like that for for unlimited period of time. Actually, in some parts of India, like you have not that one person is doing one service throughout his whole life, whole generations. The whole generation has been a garland maker. They have been making, and the coming generations. Ahaitukya pratihata. If you are satisfied, you can go on like that. If the price you pay is honesty, that is very difficult. The price you pay is responsibility, and that is very difficult. And to conclude and to stretch the topic, in the first canto, third chapter, verses 43 or 44, Prabhupada says, satisfaction means becoming oblivious to the needs of the gross and subtle body. You see Sanatana Goswami, he can eat only a chapati without salt. Because, you see, if you have such a big purpose in your life to serve Krishna, you assume your position, you act it out, and your purpose, when it increases, he has no time to be thinking about salt or about sabji, because he just eats and he goes back to write. He has to be writing the nectar of devotion. He's just so busy. But that doesn't happen overnight. Becoming oblivious to the gross and subtle needs of this body. But ultimately, it becomes that. And ultimately, in the spiritual world, when we talk about satisfaction, at the end, there is no satisfaction. Being satisfied doesn't mean becoming satiated. You will be satisfied with the service that you do, you will be satisfied with the life calling within which you are acting with, but you won't be satisfied with the quantity of it. Sitaram charit ati pavan, madur or saras ati manobavan. Puni puni kitaniye shunai shunai, pir bi pyasad bujai na bujai. The nectarian recitations of Sita and Ram are so wonderful, so nectarian, that your mana, saras, your mind will be floating in the ocean of nectar. Pir bi pyasad, your pyasa, your thirst, will be satisfied, but you won't be satisfied. You will want more and more and more. Yeah. So in that ultimate spiritual sense, within satisfaction, you won't be satiated, you will want more and more. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Bol.